Have you ever wondered how a single road could change the course of history? Why is it called the Silk Road? The answer lies in the shimmering threads of silk, an ancient luxury so prized that it gave this legendary network its name. But the Silk Road was never just a single road. Instead, imagine a vast and sprawling network of pathways, like the veins and arteries of the ancient world. These routes pulsed with life, connecting the great civilizations of the East and the West for centuries. They stretched for over 6,400 kilometers, a staggering distance that crossed scorching deserts, formidable mountain ranges, and rolling grasslands. This incredible web of trails linked the mighty Han Dynasty of China with the powerful Roman Empire, and later, countless other kingdoms and cultures that rose and fell across Asia, Europe, and even parts of Africa. It was a bridge between worlds, a conduit for commerce, culture, and human curiosity. The name Silk Road, or Seidenstrasse in German, is actually a much more modern invention. It was coined in the 19th century by a German geographer named Ferdinand von Richthofen, who wanted to capture the essence of this historic trade. And while silk was certainly the star commodity that lured merchants on these perilous journeys, the road carried so much more. It was a bustling marketplace where languages, ideas, religions, and technologies were traded as freely as spices and precious metals. This network wasn't just about economic gain, it was about the fundamental human desire to connect, to explore what lay beyond the horizon, and to share in the richness of other cultures. For more than 1,000 years, this network was the most important channel of communication and exchange on the planet. It was the world's first truly global highway, long before the age of exploration and modern transport. The stories that unfolded along its paths are the stories of humanity itself, tales of adventure, risk, discovery, and transformation. Merchants risked everything for the promise of wealth, while monks and missionaries traveled its lengths to spread their faith. The Silk Road created a shared history for peoples who might otherwise never have met, weaving their destinies together in a tapestry of vibrant, interconnected threads that shaped the course of civilization. If you keep watching, you'll uncover mysteries, adventures, and the secrets of ancient civilizations that traveled these storied paths. Understanding the Silk Road is to understand the foundations of our modern, globalized world. It demonstrates that the impulse for connection is not a new phenomenon, but an ancient and powerful force. The exchange of goods was simply the visible current on a much deeper river of human interaction. It fostered a cosmopolitanism in ancient cities that would rival many of our own today. The journey we are about to take is not just across a map of the ancient world, but a journey back in time to explore how this remarkable network came to be, what it carried, and how its legacy continues to resonate with us even now. Along this sprawling network, great cities rose from the dust, serving as vital oases of commerce, culture, and rest. These were not mere stopping points, they were glittering jewels, each with its own unique character and story. At the very eastern end lay Chang'an, now modern Xi'an, the magnificent capital of China's Han and Tang dynasties. From here, the first caravans, laden with precious silk, would begin their epic journey westward. Chang'an was a cosmopolitan metropolis, a melting pot where merchants, diplomats, and pilgrims from across Asia gathered, making it one of the most vibrant and populous cities in the ancient world. It was the engine that powered the eastern terminus of this great trade route. Journeying west, one would eventually reach the legendary city of Samarkand, in what is now Uzbekistan. Its name alone conjures images of romance and splendor. Samarkand was the heart of the Silk Road, a central crossroads where routes from China, India, Persia, and the Mediterranean converged. Its bustling bazaars were filled with the sights and sounds of 100 different cultures, its workshops renowned for producing exquisite crafts. Poets called it the Pearl of the Eastern World, a testament to its beauty and importance. Here, merchants would trade their goods, rest their weary animals, and exchange news from distant lands, making the city a vibrant hub of information and innovation. Further along the path, cities like Bukhara and Merv stood as crucial sanctuaries for travelers. Bukhara was a celebrated center of Islamic scholarship and trade, its skyline dominated by towering minarets and majestic madrasas. It was a beacon of learning and faith that drew scholars from far and wide. Merv, in modern Turkmenistan, was once one of the world's largest cities, a sprawling oasis that supported a thriving population of merchants and artisans before its tragic fall. These cities were more than just markets, they were centers of civilization, where art, architecture, and intellectual life flourished thanks to the constant influx of new people and ideas from the trade routes. Finally, at the western edge of the Asian continent stood the great city of Constantinople, the gateway to Europe. As the capital of the Byzantine Empire, it was the final destination for many of the exotic goods that had traveled thousands of miles from the east. Its strategic location on the Bosphorus Strait made it a natural bridge between two continents. From its ports, silk, spices, and other luxuries were distributed throughout the Roman and later European worlds. These cities, Xi'an, Samarkand, Bukhara, Constantinople, and countless others, were the essential anchors of the Silk Road, without which this grand exchange could never have been sustained. The lifeblood of the Silk Road flowed not through ships on the sea, but through caravans on the land. These were the convoys that moved goods, people, and ideas across the vast, unforgiving landscapes of Central Asia. At the heart of every caravan was the Bactrian camel, a true hero of this story. With its two humps and incredible resilience, this creature was perfectly adapted to the harsh conditions. It could carry heavy loads for long distances, endure extreme temperatures from scorching heat to bitter cold, and survive for days without water. These ships of the desert were the engines of overland trade, making the seemingly impossible journey across continents a reality for determined merchants. Travel along the Silk Road was an incredibly perilous undertaking, fraught with dangers at every turn. The geography itself was a formidable opponent. Caravans had to navigate the treacherous Pamir Mountains, a range so high it was known as the roof of the world. They also had to cross the unforgiving Taklamakan Desert, a place whose name is often translated as "you go in, but you don't come out." Blinding sandstorms could appear without warning, and the scarcity of water and food was a constant threat to both man and beast. The journey was slow and grueling, with progress measured in small, hard-won increments each day. Beyond the natural hazards, human threats were ever present. Bandits and raiders frequently preyed on the wealthy caravans, seeing them as easy targets in the remote and lawless wilderness between cities. A single successful raid could mean ruin for a merchant and his investors. To protect themselves, traders traveled in large groups, sometimes numbering hundreds of camels and people. They often hired armed guards for protection, adding to the already significant cost of the expedition. The journey was a calculated risk, a high-stakes gamble where immense fortune could be won, but where life and livelihood could be lost in an instant. To support these epic journeys, a network of roadside inns known as caravanserais sprang up along the routes. These were fortified sanctuaries that offered a safe haven for merchants and their precious cargo. Inside their protective walls, travelers could find shelter, food for themselves, and fodder for their animals. Caravanserais were more than just rest stops. They were miniature hubs of activity. Here, merchants from different parts of the world could meet, exchange information about routes and markets, and conduct business in a secure environment. These vital outposts were the logistical backbone of the Silk Road, ensuring the caravans could continue their long and arduous passage. The most famous commodity to travel the Silk Road, the one that gave the network its name, was, of course, silk. For centuries, the method of producing this beautiful, lustrous fabric was one of China's most closely guarded secrets. Harvested from the cocoons of silkworms, it was a symbol of wealth and status. When it first reached the Roman Empire, it caused an absolute sensation. The Romans were captivated by its softness and elegance, and it became a luxury item so highly prized that it was said to be worth its weight in gold. The demand was insatiable, driving Roman merchants to spend vast fortunes to acquire it, creating a flow of wealth eastward that stunned Roman economists. But the trade was by no means a one-way street. While China exported its magnificent silk, it imported a wide array of goods that it desired from the West and from its neighbors. From the Roman Empire came shimmering glassware, which was considered a marvel of craftsmanship in China. Gold and silver bullion, fine woolens, and sturdy linen textiles also made the long journey east. From Central Asia, China sought powerful and majestic horses, particularly the heavenly horses of the Fergana Valley, which were essential for strengthening the Han Dynasty's cavalry. This dynamic exchange ensured that goods flowed in both directions, enriching the material culture of every civilization along the route. Beyond silk and horses, the caravans were laden with a dazzling variety of other treasures. Spices were among the most valuable commodities, traveling from India and the Spice Islands through Central Asia to hungry markets in the West. Cinnamon, ginger, pepper, and saffron added flavor and fragrance to food and were also used in medicines and perfumes. Precious stones like jade from Khotan, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, and rubies from India were highly sought after. Exotic perfumes, potent medicines, and even rare plants and animals were all part of this incredible mobile marketplace, making the Silk Road a conduit for the most coveted luxuries of the ancient world. The system of exchange was complex and multifaceted. It was rare for a single merchant to travel the entire length of the Silk Road. Instead, goods were often traded in stages, passing through the hands of many middlemen along the way. A caravan might carry silk from Chang'an to Samarkand, where it would be sold to another merchant who would then transport it further west towards Persia or Constantinople. At each stage, the value of the goods increased. This relay system of trade, conducted in the bustling bazaars of oasis cities, was what kept the entire network alive and profitable for all involved, from the original producer to the final consumer. The Silk Road was far more than a commercial highway for goods. It was a powerful conduit for the human mind and spirit. As merchants and travelers moved between East and West, they carried with them their ideas, philosophies, languages, and most profoundly, their religious beliefs. This intellectual and spiritual exchange had a transformative impact on every society it touched, reshaping cultures in ways that were just as significant as the economic changes brought by trade. The pathways that carried silk and spices also became sacred routes for pilgrims, missionaries, and scholars, turning the Silk Road into a global stage for the spread of faith. One of the most significant cultural currents to flow along this network was Buddhism. Originating in India, Buddhist teachings traveled eastward with merchants and monks into Central Asia, and ultimately into China. Along the way, magnificent Buddhist monasteries and cave temples were carved into cliffsides, such as the famous Mogo Caves near Dunhuang. These sites became vibrant centers of worship and art, filled with stunning frescoes and sculptures that blended Indian, Central Asian, and Chinese artistic styles. By the time of the Tang dynasty, Buddhism had become a major religion in China, profoundly influencing its philosophy, art, and social customs for centuries to come. But Buddhism was not the only faith to travel these ancient roads. Nestorian Christianity, a branch of the church that had been declared heretical in the West, found a more welcoming home in the East. Nestorian communities flourished in major trading cities across Persia and Central Asia, and missionaries even managed to reach the imperial court of China. At the same time, Manichaeism, a syncretic religion from Persia that blended Zoroastrian, Christian, and Buddhist elements, also spread widely along the trade routes. Later, with the rise of the Arab caliphates, Islam would travel eastward, becoming the dominant faith in much of Central Asia, where it remains so to this day. Alongside religion, crucial technologies made the journey westward from China, forever changing the course of world history. Perhaps the most important of these was the secret of papermaking. This revolutionary invention reached the Islamic world in the 8th century, and later spread to Europe, where it replaced expensive parchment and papyrus. Cheaper and more efficient to produce, paper fueled a revolution in communication, scholarship, and governance. Other groundbreaking Chinese innovations, including the magnetic compass for navigation, explosive gunpowder, and the techniques for printing, also spread along these routes, laying the groundwork for major technological shifts in the West. The Silk Road's history was marked by periods of incredible prosperity, or golden ages, when powerful empires provided the stability and security necessary for trade to thrive. The first major era of flourishing began with China's Han Dynasty, from 206 BCE to 220 CE. It was the Han who actively pushed westward, seeking allies and valuable resources like the famed horses of Central Asia. By establishing garrisons and extending the Great Wall, they secured the eastern sections of the route, creating a safer environment for the first large-scale caravans to begin their journeys. This period laid the essential groundwork for the centuries of exchange that would follow. A second, even more brilliant golden age occurred during China's Tang Dynasty, from 618 to 907 CE. This era is widely regarded as a high point in Chinese civilization, characterized by its openness, cosmopolitanism, and cultural confidence. The Tang capital, Chang'an, became the most magnificent city on earth, a true melting pot where people from all over the known world lived and traded. The Tang emperors actively encouraged foreign trade and cultural exchange, and the security they provided along the routes allowed for an unprecedented volume of goods and ideas to flow freely, making the Silk Road more vibrant and prosperous than ever before. However, the ultimate golden age of the Silk Road arrived with the rise of the Mongol Empire in the 13th and 14th centuries. Under the leadership of Genghis Khan and his successors, the Mongols created the largest contiguous land empire in history, stretching from the Pacific Ocean to the heart of Europe. By uniting this vast territory under a single rule, they created a period of unprecedented peace and stability known as the Pax Mongolica, or Mongol Peace. The Mongols were pragmatic rulers who understood the value of trade. They protected merchants, established a reliable postal system, and ensured the routes were safe from bandits. During the Pax Mongolica, travel and trade across Eurasia became safer and more efficient than at any other time in history. For the first time, European travelers like the famous Venetian merchant Marco Polo could journey the entire length of the Silk Road and arrive safely at the court of the Great Khan in China. This direct contact between East and West led to a dramatic increase in the exchange of goods, technologies, and knowledge. It was a brief but extraordinary window in time when the world felt more connected than ever before, a true testament to how political stability can foster incredible economic and cultural growth. Just as great empires enabled the Silk Road's golden ages, their collapse signaled its decline. The beginning of the end came in the mid-14th century with the fragmentation of the mighty Mongol Empire. The Pax Mongolica, which had guaranteed safe passage for merchants, dissolved into a patchwork of competing successor states. As political instability returned to Central Asia, the overland routes once again became dangerous and fragmented. Local rulers imposed heavy taxes, and the threat of banditry, which the Mongols had suppressed, re-emerged with a vengeance. The unity that had made the Silk Road so efficient was shattered, making long-distance land travel a risky and expensive proposition once more. Compounding this political chaos was a biological catastrophe of unimaginable proportions, the Black Death. Many historians believe that this devastating pandemic, which killed a third or more of Europe's population, spread from Asia along the very trade routes that had for so long been a source of prosperity. The plague was carried by fleas on rats that infested merchant caravans and ships. As it swept across continents, it not only decimated populations in cities and towns along the Silk Road, but also created a deep-seated fear of foreign contact, disrupting trade and travel on a massive scale. The vibrant, bustling hubs of commerce became places of death and quarantine. While the land routes were becoming more dangerous and fragmented, a new and revolutionary alternative was emerging. In the 15th century, European maritime powers, particularly Portugal and Spain, began to invest heavily in naval exploration. Advances in shipbuilding and navigation, like the Caravan and the magnetic compass, a technology that had itself traveled west along the Silk Road, allowed them to embark on long ocean voyages. Vasco da Gama's successful voyage around Africa to India in 1498 opened up a direct sea route to the spices and riches of the East, completely bypassing the old overland paths. This shift to maritime trade was the final decisive blow to the traditional Silk Road. Sea travel was faster, capable of carrying much larger volumes of cargo, and ultimately cheaper than the long and arduous journey by caravan. It cut out the many middlemen who had dominated overland trade, allowing European nations to control the profitable commerce with Asia directly. Furthermore, the capture of Constantinople by the Ottoman Empire in 1453 effectively closed the main western gateway of the Silk Road to European traders. Faced with political instability, disease, and a more efficient maritime competitor, the ancient overland network slowly faded into irrelevance, its legendary cities falling into quiet obscurity. Even though the caravan stopped and the great cities of the Silk Road dwindled, its legacy never truly disappeared. Its influence is deeply embedded in the DNA of our modern world, echoing through centuries of history, culture, and commerce. The most profound legacy is the simple yet powerful idea of interconnectedness. The Silk Road was the first great experiment in globalization, demonstrating on a grand scale that no civilization is an island. It proved that when different cultures connect, they do not just trade goods. They create something new through the fusion of ideas, arts, and technologies, leading to mutual enrichment and progress. The cultural landscape of the world was permanently redrawn by the exchanges that took place along these routes. Religions like Buddhism and Islam spread far beyond their places of origin, shaping the spiritual lives of billions of people across Asia. The artistic styles that developed in the oasis cities, blending Greek, Persian, Indian, and Chinese influences, stand as a beautiful testament to this cross-pollination. Even our modern diet owes a debt to the Silk Road, which introduced fruits like peaches and apricots to the west, and foods like carrots and pistachios to the east. This vast, invisible web of influence shaped everything from what people believed to what they ate. The technological transfers that occurred along the Silk Road were instrumental in shaping the course of global development. The westward journey of Chinese innovations like papermaking, printing, gunpowder, and the compass had a revolutionary impact on Europe. Paper and printing democratized knowledge, paving the way for the Renaissance and the Reformation. Gunpowder transformed warfare, while the compass made the Age of Discovery possible, the very age that would eventually lead to the Silk Road's decline. In this way, the Silk Road carried the seeds of its own obsolescence, a fascinating historical irony. Ultimately, the Silk Road teaches us a fundamental lesson about human history, that connection, rather than isolation, is the primary engine of change and innovation. It reminds us that periods of openness and exchange are often periods of great cultural and scientific achievement. The stories of Marco Polo, of the Buddhist monk Xuanzang, and of countless unnamed merchants inspire us with their courage and curiosity. They undertook incredible journeys not just for profit, but to understand the world beyond their own borders. This enduring spirit of exploration and exchange is perhaps the most important legacy of the Silk Road. The story of the Silk Road did not end in the 15th century. In a remarkable echo of the past, the 21st century has seen the rise of a new, ambitious vision to revive these ancient connections. In 2013, China unveiled its Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI, a colossal global infrastructure development strategy often referred to as the New Silk Road. This project aims to once again connect Asia with Africa and Europe through a belt of overland corridors and a maritime road of shipping lanes. It is one of the most ambitious and far-reaching economic projects in human history, seeking to re-establish the Eurasian landmass as a central hub of global trade. The modern initiative mirrors its ancient predecessor in both scale and scope. The plan involves funding and building a vast network of infrastructure, including railways, highways, ports, pipelines, and energy grids across dozens of countries. The goal is to create seamless trade routes that reduce transportation times and costs, fostering economic growth and deeper integration between participating nations. Just as the old Silk Road was built around key oasis cities, the new Silk Road is centered on strategic economic corridors and logistical hubs designed to facilitate the flow of goods and capital on an unprecedented scale in the modern era. However, this new Silk Road is not without its modern challenges and controversies. While its proponents highlight the potential for economic development and shared prosperity, critics raise concerns about the financial sustainability of the projects. Some participating countries have taken on massive loans from China, leading to fears of debt trap diplomacy. There are also geopolitical implications, as the initiative significantly expands China's economic and political influence across the globe. Just as the ancient roots were shaped by the ambitions of great empires, the modern version is inextricably linked to the strategic goals of a rising global power. Ultimately, the Belt and Road Initiative serves as a powerful reminder of the enduring lessons of the original Silk Road. It underscores the timeless importance of trade and infrastructure in connecting peoples and driving economic progress. It also highlights how these connections inevitably bring with them a complex interplay of cultural exchange, political influence, and shared challenges. Whether this new chapter will achieve the legendary status of its namesake remains to be seen, but it reaffirms that the ancient impulse to build bridges between worlds is as potent today as it was 2,000 years ago. We are invited once again to explore these connections and to learn from the rich, complex history of this incredible journey through time.